Atalanta are the only Italian side still in the Champions League, but the Serie A is almost wrapped up, and Arsenal take on Chelsea in a massive tie in the Premier League title race.
In Germany, we have a classic number 1 versus number 2 battle, and La Liga might switch the number 1 spot up again after this weekend. All of this and more on this episode 119 of the No Business Soccer Podcast. News, kick us off.
Let's dig in. What is going on, folks? Welcome to the No Business Soccer Podcast. I'm your host, Snooze, and we got the full fam today. Of course, that's J-Fam. The Brainiac is back, and he is a dad now. I think before we got on, Jaime Vic called him Daddy, so pretty cool stuff there. We also have Danny P on the ones and twos.
That in confidence.
I'm sorry, my bad. Danny P on the ones and twos, and of course, everyone's favorite high man, Vic. What you sipping on, dog?
Well, I don't have it in my glass yet. As you know, we're continuing our Scotch journey, but the reason I don't have it in my glass is because I wanted all y'all to be here because Scotch is expensive, so I'm buying these little ones. All right, I'm not buying a giant thing. So, but look, it has a tiny cork, so I'm gonna see if we have a cork pop. That's the only reason. Oh, that was pretty nice.
That was nice. If I could finger bang or whatever it's called, I'd do it. Wait, no, that's not finger banging. What is this called?
No.
What is that finger banging? I don't know what's going on.
Snap. But anyway, this is Balvenie. This is the aged 14 years in Caribbean cask. That just means it's been in rum casks. And yeah, it's super sweet, super malty, and has a silky mouthfeel. Snooze, I know how you love your mouthfeels. So I take a sip of this enchanting elixir. Go ahead and like and subscribe. It's the best way to help out the channel. Maybe say, hey, these guys are kind of cool to talk to every now and then. So cheers. Oh, I hit the crap out of that.
That was nice. I liked the ting tonight. And we got a full schedule for you guys. We actually have a lot going on, and we'll jump into it here in just a moment. We have, of course, the weekend look ahead, where we're going to be looking at the Serie A, Premier League, La Liga, and Bundesliga, and all the action that's coming this weekend. Plus, we have a UEFA competition roundup. The second legs are done, and we know the final, or the round of 16 teams anyway. And then also, we're going to try something different. We're going to try a segment at the end of the show where we're going to give you our best bets, our No Business Soccer Podcast best bets of the weekend. Of course, we can't bet where we are, but we're going to at least give you the games that we think could end up in your favor if you should put a little shekels on them. Is that what it's called? Sprinkle some shekels? Anyway.
Never heard that.
You ever heard that?
No.
Well, but before we do any of that, of course, we have to go boots on the ground in Austin, Texas for the Austin FC Minute.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, first things first, it has been reported that Austin FC have signed Christian Ramirez. Ramirez plays forward. He's a big, 6-foot-something guy. He's been a staple in MLS for a while now. His most notable year was with Columbus when we went to the MLS Cup, but they didn't win, but it was back in 2023. So he has tenure and leadership. I hope will help us out in the locker room. And I think the forwards that we have now are still starting over him, but what a great sub to have that I would equate sort of like a Jossie Zardes or Will Bruin, one of those tall guys that can get a header at the end of the game, and have some sort of leadership out there. So pretty exciting stuff. It's been all but announced, but yeah, we did get him from LA Galaxy. LA Galaxy just signed him this year and then just let him go on waivers. I don't know what that was about. So
hey, one man's trash is another man's potpourri, as the Grinch said.
Hey, we'll take it. We'll take it. But other than that, Austin FC play this Sunday afternoon at 1:30 Central against DC United. They're going to have another lawn party, apparently, that will have mimosas, and I think Snooze is going with me. He hasn't confirmed yet, but what's it looking like?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I have a reason to not go. I got the okay from the wife, I believe. I'm saying yeah like that because I'm pretty sure I asked her, and she said yeah. It's different whenever you have a kid, because it's like, hey, can I go to this game? If you're single, it's no big deal. Like, hey, I'm gonna go to the game, no big deal. You got some alone time. And now it's like, hey, will you watch our daughter and feed her and take care of her by yourself for 4 hours while I go drink with my buddies? But I think I got the okay, so we're good.
Well, nice. I hope so. But other than that, yeah. It should be a good game for DC United. DC United did win their last game, so we're coming in a little weak, and we have a draw. They have a win, but whatever. It doesn't matter. We'll figure it out, and I think we get the win this time. We're looking pretty exciting. And
I'm excited.
It'll
be a fun game.
Yep.
I don't remember the last time I went to an afternoon game. I mean, this is I'm looking forward to it. And it's been it was hot today. Hopefully, it's not as hot. We'll find out. It's like 86.
I need to check. I need to check.
I'll take that over super cold any day. As the older I'm getting, the more I'm starting to not like the cold. I'm sorry, I have to. Well, not sorry to you. You've been this way. You've been old man for a while.
1,000%.
This dude he used to bring a heater for under his desk.
Yeah, it's cold.
The old man this guy is. Okay.
The office used to get to like 63 degrees. Of course, I brought a heater. It's stupid.
63.
No.
Put it in the comments. Let us know if you prefer to be cold or hot. I'm very curious on this. And give us your age too, because maybe there's going to be a correlation as you get older. You like the heat more. Okay. Well, we have a lot to talk about, Vic. So let's jump in. Let's jump first to the UEFA competitions. You know what? That's my bad. I said competition instead of the wrap up. You had the right one, and I messed you up. That's my bad. You know what? Sometimes we're a team, and I'll take the blame for it. That's my fault. But either way, we had the second legs of all of the competitions going on. We had the Conference League, Europa League, and the Champions League this week, and so we're going to not only talk about the results, but also the round of 16. There's no ties that are confirmed yet, but we know the teams that have gone through. So. Without further ado, let's jump into first up the Conference League. And the Conference League, of course, there's actually a lot of interesting games that went on. And as you start to watch these are kind of more the elite teams in a land of a bunch of teams that you've never heard of. But you start to kind of feel it out and know which ones are going to be pretty good going forward. But we're just going to talk about the ones that we cover day in and day out, which isn't a lot right now in the Conference League as far as the knockout rounds go. But we had Fiorentina they lost on the night to Jagiellonia Białystok, but they lost 4-2 in Florence, which is crazy. But because they won so heavily in the first leg, they advanced to the round of 16 on 5-4 aggregate. And we also had Crystal Palace, who get it done against Zhinski, and that is an aggregate of 3-1, with Palace getting the win tonight at 2-0. And it looks like that's going to be it for the Conference League side. We'll talk about, let's see.
I can't even name some of these other people.
Yeah, I'm looking up to see the round of 16, if it's when the draws are. I believe they're tomorrow, but I want to make sure before I tell everyone. Let's see, February 27th. Yeah, Friday 27th at 2 o'clock, which is usually what? That's like the
right?
2 for us. I think 2 o'clock is like 8 a.m. or 10 a.m. something like that. So anyway, we'll know early. We'll know early enough what these ties are going to be. So it'll be a lot of fun coming into the round of 16 for the Conference League. Okay, let's go to the Europa League, and we had some bangers in this one. Of course, we had VfB Stuttgart. They did lose at home to Celtic. Celtic beat them 1-0, but because they won so heavily in the first leg, they advanced to the round of 16, 4-2. And we also had Celta Vigo advancing against PAOK with a 1-0 win on the night and a 3-1 on aggregate. And then Nottingham Forest beating Fenerbahce, and they advanced. Well, they lost on the night. I guess this is to clarify. They did lose, because if you look at the score, we're like, oh, they lost. Yes, they did lose 2-1 to Fenerbahce, and this was in at Nottingham. But also they advanced 4-2 on aggregate, very similar to Stuttgart. And then the last one that we covered, Bologna advancing to the round of 16 with a 1-0 win over Brann, and that was a 2-0 aggregate score for them. So going to be some interesting ties in the round of 16 for the Europa League for sure. And we go to the main course. That is the Champions League. Champions! Man, I thought you were going to hook me up right there. Nope.
You gotta learn that.
I got to give you some warning. Yeah, I got it's my bad. It's my bad. We had some incredible finishes, I'll put it that way, to these ties. Most notably, Inter going down at home to Bodo Glimt 2-1. They lose at the San Siro. And not only did they lose that game, they lost at Bodo Glimt as well. So the aggregate was 2-5 for Bodo Glimt against the soon to be Italian champions. Man, crazy stuff. I think they were doing a bunch of stats, and I might have to do a short about it, like the difference in wages and in town size, and like it just insane stuff. I think they said that the town of Bodo could, or maybe it's Glimt, I can't remember. Either way, the city that it's in, the population is so small they could fit like 4 times over inside the San Siro. That's the difference between these like clubs and cities, and that they go through.
Crazy.
And Vic, not only is it that they are going through, but the way they're playing too, they don't give a crap who you are. They're going to go at it, and they're playing some of the most attractive football out there right now, and it's a lot of fun to watch. We'll see how it goes as they continue. We didn't think they would get to this point, and then because they had to beat who was a City and Atletico, and they beat them, and now they're through, and they just took down Inter, who not only did I say they're going to be the champions, but they also were in the final of the Champions League last season. Incredible stuff. We also had Atletico Madrid taking on Club Brugge, and the first leg of that was 3-3, and that was one of the best ties of the first legs. But they dominate this one in Madrid 4-1. Club Brugge going home. Atletico moving on. Newcastle beating Karabag 3-2 on the night. 9-3 on aggregate, though. Crazy stuff. Leverkusen, they drew at home 0-0, but the first leg they won in Greece against Olympiacos 2-0, so they do move on. Juventus taking on Galatasaray. Juventus were 3-2. 3-2. They won on the night, but they didn't advance. They lose 5-7 on aggregate to Galatasaray, and this game was madness. I mean, they had come all the way back. They had an early red card with Kelly going out, and as soon as they went out, it was almost like the switch flipped for Juve. They were just on it from then on. They knew that their backs were against the wall and they had to do something. And they came all the way back to get a 3-2 lead, which had them level on aggregate because there was a 3-2 the other way on the first leg. And so it was going into extra time. They were ready to go. I think it was 5-5. And then all of a sudden, they were down a man for so much time. They started to tire out. Osimhen gets a goal, breaks the tie open. It ends up being 5-7 on aggregate. Galatasaray are moving on. It's crazy, though, when you see Galatasaray, the amount of internationals on their team. I saw that Gundogan is playing for them. I saw that Sane is playing for them. Victor Osimhen. I can't remember any of them else right now, but there's just so many. That is a good team in Turkey, and they are moving on to round of 16. Also, Real Madrid beating Benfica 2-1. PSG drew with Monaco on the night, but they advanced 5-4 on aggregate. And then the game that everybody was talking about, the Atalanta 4, Dortmund 1 game. Atalanta is moving on 4-3 on aggregate. Like I said in the intro, they're the only team in the Champions League to move on from the Serie A. Excuse me. And this one was crazy because coming into this game, they lost 2-0 to Dortmund in Germany. And they end up coming back 4-1 in Bergamo and getting through to the round of 16. And this is a team that, they're doing really well in Serie A now. They have a lot of momentum, but they were scraping by in the Champions League, and then they go and take down Dortmund. A lot of the memes, though, were around Dortmund not getting it done, Vic. Like people are just crapping all over Dortmund, and it was a collapse. There's no way around it. It was a collapse for Dortmund. They end up getting a red card as well, and they are going to stay home. If you didn't watch it, the final kick of the game was the reason why that Atalanta is moving on. Did you see the pictures, Vic, of the dude's head?
No, I haven't.
You haven't? Oh my God!
I'm barely seeing it right now. Yeah.
Okay, dude. So the final kick of the game. Legit final kick of the game before they're going into extra time. I can't remember the defender's name, but a defender for Dortmund. The ball's going behind him, and he tries to kick it like he throws his leg back, but the Atalanta attacker is going for a header. And his studs go into the dude's forehead. He needs 4 stitches in his head. Straight. The dude, he falls down, and the ref at first doesn't give the penalty because, you know how it is. It's the last kick of the game. Of course, they're going to go down. But then I think it's Krstovic. He stands up, and there's just blood gushing down his face. And, they take the penalty. They get the win with, virtually the very last kick of the game. Insane stuff. Dortmund, the They are the creators of their own downfall, or whatever that statement is, or the saying is, because this was theirs to win. I mean, really, they just had to not collapse, and they did. It was crazy. But Atalanta, rightfully so, moving on, and we'll see who they play in the next round. Okay, Vic, anything else we need to discuss here before we move on?
No, I saw Victoria Pilsen didn't go through, and then I was trying to just get the names for everybody else in the Conference League, and I was like, I don't even know these teams, but I'm like, bro, Liverpool might be there next year.
Like that,
yeah.
That video you said.
Yeah,
it's so like a British rapper who's like,
this league here, yeah.
like the teams that Liverpool will be playing in the Conference League. Oh yeah. Man, that's hilarious. Man. Hey,
it's gonna be tough.
It's all right. You know, I would kill for Spurs to be able to be in that league next season, because I think we could actually win that one. Won the Europa League last season. So okay, let's move on. We got a ton to cover. Oh wow! All right, let's move on at that point. Let's go, Vic, to Italy.
Let's do it to Serie A.
So we have some news and notes from around Serie A, and I didn't really know when to put these or where to do these. So I've had this ready for a while since the window, the January window. So I'm just going to do it now, because this was a pretty cool story going around. This is Nicholas Füllkrug and the no good, very bad day. Nicholas Füllkrug is on loan at Milan from West Ham and had been subbed on in games against Cagliari and Genoa. He started for against Fiorentina and was just getting up to speed, and then he breaks his toe, and he had to load up on painkillers just to get through games and through practices. And Milan's midweek game against Como on a Thursday, I mean, he had to take so many. They were saying that they didn't know if he'd be ready, but of course, he's a champion. He moves on. He takes those painkillers, and he takes it like a champ. And I don't know if you guys know this, but when you're playing football, when you're playing soccer, you use your feet a lot. So you can only imagine what running on a broken toe feels like. So not only that happens, but he gets back from Como on a Thursday. They get back, or they had the game on Thursday. He gets back to his hotel, presumably either that night or on Friday. And after that away trip, he comes to his hotel room and finds someone had broken into his hotel, busted in the safe, and stolen $500,000 million worth of luxury jewelry and designer watches. And this guy, I mean, he's on painkillers trying to get through a game, comes back, and that happens. Then that Sunday, with a broken toe and a missing jewelry, he's loaded up on painkillers. He goes into the game off the bench against Lecce at the San Siro, and he gets his first goal for Milan. Of course, from a header, because the whole broken toe thing, he can't kick the ball well. He has to do a header, and he gets it, and it's the winner. So we just wanted to do this. I know it's a couple weeks overdue, but shout out to Füllkrug for putting on a masterclass and getting it done despite all of the odds against him. Didn't have his family, such a bad week, and then to go and get a winner, and kind of it's feeling a little bit easier now for Füllkrug. But that, yeah, Vic, I don't know if you've had a week as bad as that.
No, doesn't sound like it. I thought you were going to say $500,000 in cash, and I was like, why does he have that in his hotel room? Jeez, no,
that would be a bigger story.
Yeah.
That'd be a bigger story if that was $500,000 in cash that he had in a safe in there. No.
I just saw Crime 101, and they had about that much money in one of their hotel rooms. Now that I think about it, definitely recommend you go watch Crime 101. Yeah.
You know, I don't want to watch it because it's like the name is just like so dumb. Like that's Crime 101. Really, you might as well just make like movie 214. I don't know. It's just like dumb. It just seems.
It's a double entendre. It's about the 101 highway in California. So.
Oh, not 101 as in like intro to.
Yeah. Exactly. So you got to be a thinker for these
double entendreing over here. Well, that was a long news and notes. So I think it's time, Vic, let's jump into these matchups for Matchday 27.
Let's do it. And of course, we're going to start with your No Business Soccer podcast. Top matches and headlines for Serie A Match Day 27. And your first match is one of the hottest teams in the league, maybe the world right now, is Atalanta heading to Sassuolo side that is looking to keep their run of form.
We've got 7th versus 9th, and both teams are coming in form and firing. Both have won 4 of their last 5 in Serie A, and Atalanta will be on a high after that incredible finish we just talked about in the Champions League. The season for Sassuolo has been incredible. They are a newly promoted side. They're above mid-table, and this late in the season, if that's the case, they don't even have to worry about relegation. They're worried about getting into Europe at this point, which is just incredible stuff for a team that I don't think a lot of people had pegged to be up. I mean, even staying in Serie A. And I think it might be a little too far-fetched to see them in Europe, but either way, the run they're on is great. And if they can come into this match and they can get all 3 points here, I think it would definitely set the tone for the ending of the season for the Sassuolo side. But let's just take it easy whenever we talk about Atalanta, because as Vic said, this is one of the best teams in form right now, certainly in Serie A, maybe the world. I don't know if I want to go that far, but they are definitely great. And I mean, they have dudes diving in for headers and getting scars all over their face. Like, these guys are tough. I'm looking forward to this one.
And your second match is a huge step to determine who will get into Champions League, as number 4, Roma welcome number 5, Juve.
The battle for the top 4 is heating up. Roma have a 4-point lead over their table neighbors, Juve, and are in better form coming into this game, with Juve losing 2 straight in Serie A. And they're also knocked out of the Champions League by Galatasaray, as we mentioned, in heartbreaking fashion. And you know that type of loss will linger for Juve for a bit, and all the energy and emotion that goes into a game like that has got to be draining to deal with. And Roma will hope so, because with all their newfound attacking prowess, they've still only won twice in their last 5 Serie A matches. The last time these two teams met was back on December 20th, where Juve won 2-1 at home. But now they'll have to overcome their slump at the Olimpico in Rome. Roma are also 4 points ahead of Juve. So 3 points over them will be a serious boost of their Champions League hopes for next season. So we'll see how this one ends.
And those are your top matches and headlines for Serie A Match Day 27. Let's get into the rest of the match day. And it starts on Friday as table neighbors who are headed in opposite directions face off. It's Parma taking on Cagliari.
We get a sneaky good game on Friday. Parma have 3 straight wins, and a win over Cagliari could see them climb all the way up to 9th, and with a ton of momentum. Cagliari haven't been as hot lately, so it's more of a prove-it game for Parma than anything else.
We then move to Saturday as Lecce look to break their tie for the last relegation spot, but they take on a Como side that has just 1 loss in the last 6 matches.
Como's win over Juve was massive for their European chances, and a game against third bottom Lecce shouldn't do anything but help them continue to stack those points.
Next up is Napoli getting dealt a great hand to bounce back from last week's losses to get bottom of the table Verona.
Napoli need to get some good vibes going, and a date with bottom of the table Verona in a good way is a good way to do that. But it is a good way to do that. It really is. Even with it being a road trip, it shouldn't matter. Napoli really needs to get some of this, the juices flowing, Vic, and we'll see if they can do that here.
And Saturday ends with your league leaders looking to continue their breakaway for the championship as they take on number 14, Genoa.
Inter were just embarrassed in the Champions League, and they'll need to take out their anger on someone. It's just unfortunate that it has to be Genoa after their big win over Torino last weekend.
And we then move on to Sunday. As the best of the rest, Milan look to bounce back against the relegation-threatened Cremonese.
It's safe to say that the title race is over, but Milan are still 4 points clear in second and would love to get a win. And it seems like everyone is beating Cremonese at the moment, so I expect that to happen here.
And our next match was your No Business Soccer Podcast top match. That was Sassuolo and Atalanta. We talked about that. So we move on to 2 teams that are looking for their first win in 3 match days as Lazio head to Torino.
Our Lazio have a really good chance to turn things around this weekend with a road trip to take on Torino, who've lost back-to-back games and are free-falling down the table. But it's not like Lazio are doing great themselves.
And Sunday ended with your other No Business Soccer Podcast top matchup. That was Roma and Juve. We already talked about that. So we move on to your Monday night football doubleheader as Pisa look to cement themselves as a true number 19 as they take on Bologna's side that is riding a 2-game win streak.
We spoke a lot recently about how bad Bologna were in the league compared to what they were doing in the European phase or in the the league phase of the Europa League. But since then, they've won back-to-back games in Serie A, and they have a chance to make it 3 straight here. Plus, we just talked about how they're advancing into the round of 16. All things are looking up for Bologna and Pizza. I always say it all the time. Pisa look like they're on their way down.
My boy, hungry.
Know, right?
Match day 27 ends with Udinese riding a 3-game losing streak, welcoming a Fiorentina side that haven't lost in 3 games.
A month ago, this would have been a really informed side in Udinese, but our Fiorentina are getting them at the right time. With Udinese on a 3-game losing streak, if Fiorentina can get a win here and a couple results go their way, they could easily shoot up past Genoa and into 14th, which would be absolutely fantastic.
And those are your matches for Serie A match day 27. Let's get a refresher of the table. And on top, you will still see the Milan's Inter being the first Milan there in the number 1 spot. They have 64 points. They're 10 points clear of AC Milan with 54 points. The number 3 spot belongs to Napoli, who have 50 points, and tied with them. And rounding out our top 4 is Roma with 50 points as well. And then tickling our top 4 is Juve there with 46 points in that Europa League spot, looking to break into the top 4. And then when you take a look at the bottom of the table, you'll see Lecce there in the 18th spot. They have 24 points. They're also tied with Cremonese and Fiorentina, so it's going to be an interesting weekend as they play and see who breaks out and who gets into the relegation zone. But behind them, they are staying in no matter what is Pisa and Hellas Verona. They both have 15 points apiece, holding up the rest of the Serie A table. And both teams in the exact same form: draw, loss, loss, draw, loss, loss. And not looking bright for either one of those right now.
Yeah, starting to shape up pretty well. I think we know 2 of the 3 teams that are going down for sure, and not too much more to change.
Yeah,
we'll see what it's sad that Inter pulled away so quick. I mean, probably not sad for if you're an Inter fan, but I was hoping for a little bit. I was hoping for a little bit more. Okay, I think that's it, Vic. Ready to move on to. Where's my notes at? Okay, here we go. Let's move on to Germany.
Let's do it. To Bundesliga.
I was trying to get some. Go ahead. What?
I was going to say episode 119 snoozing. You don't know what order we're going still? You have to look at your notes.
No. Yeah, I was looking at my notes. I was like, I have a little edit I need to do here. And then I completely lost track of where I was. That's what happens. I even told what we talked about the other day where I was like, I get shaking my camera. I was like, man, I get a little nervous, and you're like, there's no way you still do that. There's 100 and something episodes in. There's like no way you get nervous. I do. I gotta get a little nervous. Also, you don't get nervous because you're drinking every time we do this show. Boy, got liquid courage. It's not fair.
Hell yeah, baby.
But no news and notes this time around for the Bundesliga. I do have a story on tap that I will have ready to go for our Monday show, but it's looking pretty juicy. I'll put it out there. Give it a little squeeze. That's your hint right there. So,
all right.
With that, let's move on.
Let's get into the match day then. And of course, we start with your No Business Soccer podcast, top matches and headlines for Bundesliga match day 24. And your first match would be a banger in a much closer race, but it's still a great number 1 versus number 2 battle as Bayern go on the road to Borussia Dortmund.
Dortmund went out of the Champions League in spectacular fashion on Wednesday, and I'm sure it will feel like a gut punch after the way they ended the first tie with 2 goals and the lead. But I think we can all agree that Dortmund, they couldn't drop any more points if they're going to be seriously contending for this title against Bayern. But even the Dortmund manager, Niko Kovac, kept saying that the goal is just top 4 and to get in the Champions League. So I think they're playing their cards a little to their chest, close to their chest here. Either way, Der Klassiker, it's always entertaining. It's always fun. And it's still an 8-point gap coming in. So a 5-point gap with 10 games left could be a little tighter. I don't know. Is it 10 games left, 12 games left, something like that? I know they have a little bit less games than the other leagues. But either way, 5-point gaps, if they can get this win here, would be a massive thing going into the final 10 plus. How about that? That's a little cop out there. But Dortmund, Vic, they have to get all 3 points. If they don't, then it is over. I know we've been saying it's virtually over. It will be over if they get anything less than 3 points here. Bayern seem to be back on track and are starting to get healthy, and them not having a midweek match while Dortmund were flying back from Italy after a high-energy, high-stress game. It just doesn't bode well for Dortmund in this match, but we're all going to be watching Der Klassiker, so let's go check it out.
And your second match are two teams desperate for some consistency as number 8 Eintracht Frankfurt welcome number 7 Freiburg.
Last week when Frankfurt took on Bayern, I said it was a bridge too early. It came too soon for Riera to take his reign at Frankfurt and go get a result in Munich, or at least against Bayern. I can't remember if it was at home or away, but either way, the Black Forest boys coming into Frankfurt, that is more like it. This is a real test here. I'd say that both sides are fairly even, and they're even in form, similar with their results, with Freiburg winning one more game in their last 5 matches. But other than that extra win, I mean, they're fairly similar as far as results go. Either way, it's a good litmus test for it's a good litmus test for both sides to see if they're either going to be moving forward to take a European spot or if they're not. The way that both teams play, I think Freiburg have the more balanced squad overall, the better defense, the better defensive side. I think that they can stifle Eintracht a little bit more, but they don't score nearly as much as Eintracht do. And if they, hey, I forgot. Look at me. I'm wearing the shirt right now. Hey. But if while Riera is working out that defense, if he can find a way to get the goals flowing as they usually do, and he has a little bit more shored up on the defensive side, I mean, I think that they can win this game. And I won't say easily, but they can actually get a pretty good result at home in front of their home fans and give them what they've been waiting for so long. And, going to Frankfurt, I have a little, what do we even call it? They're not a pet team, but it's like a little crush. I have a crush on them right now. I think that we can get this done. They're a lot of fun to watch. This game should be fun. I'm ready for it.
And those are your top matches and headlines for Bundesliga Matchday 24. We will go ahead and jump into the rest of the match day, and it starts on Friday with our favorite mascot in Köln going on the road to take on a streaking Augsburg.
Man, I'm getting scared for our little Billy Goats. They've been playing decent football, but the results are not following. And now they come into this match against the unbeatable Augsburg with only a single win in their last 5 games and only 4 points above the relegation spot. I don't think that Köln will go down, but they need to get at least a point here.
We then move on to Saturday as Leverkusen look to bounce back against the visiting Mainz.
Leverkusen are through to the round of 16 of the Champions League, so that monkey is off their back. But in the Bundesliga, they just lost to Union and are barely hanging on to a spot in Europe for next season. Mainz have been much, much better, even with the loss to Dortmund and the draw to Hamburg last weekend. They're still in decent form, and they can get the ups. And if they can get the upset on the road, or at least a point, it will be a big, big deal in the relegation battle.
And Saturday continues with Borussia Mönchengladbach looking to stay out of the relegation zone as they welcome Union Berlin.
Gladbach has been giving points away to everyone lately, and with Union's win over Leverkusen, they are looking to go back-to-back in the Bundesliga for the first time in a while. And with Freiburg and Frankfurt above them playing each other, 3 points is an absolute must for Union this weekend.
And next up is a classic relegation battle as there's a fight in the basement. Bottom 2 go at it. It's Werder Bremen and Heidenheim.
Bottom and second bottom, as they call it, is a 6-pointer. And it sucks for Werder, who just played in another 6-pointer last weekend on the road at St. Pauli. Double H's draw with Stuttgart last time out will give them some confidence that they can get something from this one here. But realistically, they're probably going down. But Werder, if they could get 3 points, they could start to think about survival.
And our next match is still the Can It Be number 3's Hoffenheim. This time welcome a St. Pauli team that might be on the rise.
Hoffenheim are grateful to see that all the teams directly below them in the race for Europe have dropped points at the same time that they have, which means they're still solidly in third and playing great. St. Pauli, on the other hand, just got themselves out of the bottom 2 and winning that 6-pointer with Werder. They would love to stay up, and an upset here against Hoffenheim would do just that.
And Saturday ends with your No Business Soccer podcast top match. That is their Klassiker, Borussia Dortmund versus Bayern Munich. We went over that, so we go to Sunday as Stuttgart look to cement their Champions League spot as they take on the lowly Wolfsburg.
Stuttgart were frustrated by Double H and will feel hard done by the refs. Ultimately, they drop points to the bottom team in the table, and if they do so again against a Wolfsburg side who are just outside of the relegation zone, it's bad news bears. Let's not forget that Wolves played a hell of a game against Augsburg, but because there's some kind of weird luck that Augsburg have at the moment, Wolfsburg lost. Stuttgart can't take them lightly, and if they do, they can drop another game. And they did, even though they're advanced to round 16, they did just lose to Celtics. So it's not a good time to start dropping points in the league.
And next up was your other No Business Soccer podcast top matchup. That was Eintracht Frankfurt and Freiburg. We already talked about that. So match day 24 ends with Hamburg looking to keep their unbeaten streak going as they take on number 5 Leipzig.
It's another juicy matchup with a big Bundesliga club struggling for form and the upstart Hamburg side who are just starting to hit their stride. More than likely, this is the type of game that Leipzig win, but Hamburg haven't lost any of their last 5 games and won't go down easy, especially at home. I'm looking forward to this one. This should be fun.
And those are your matches for Bundesliga match day 24. Let's get a refresher of the table. And the top 2 is going to be who are fighting this weekend. They're going to be in the Klassiker as Bayern Munich are your number 1s. They have 60 points. They're 8 points clear of Borussia Dortmund, who have 52 points in the number 2 spot. Then you have the Can It Be number 3 is Hoffenheim with 46 points. It clears 6 points more behind Borussia Dortmund. And then rounding out our top 4 is Stuttgart, VfB Stuttgart with 43 points. And then tickling our top 4 is Leipzig with 41 points. And then if we look at the bottom of the table, you'll have St. Pauli in that relegation playoff spot there in the number 16 spot with 20 points. They're tied with Wolfsburg, who are in the 15 spot with 20 points as well. Of course, above them on goal differential. But in the bottom 2, you have Werder Bremen in the number 17 spot. They have 19 points. And then Heidenheim, a solid foundation for Bundesliga table of 14 measly points. And again, fighting a basement, they're going to be going at it this weekend. Won't change their spots, though. I think Heidenheim, even if they win, not going nowhere.
Yeah, it feels like Double H is down. I know I said that about the last league, but we're getting very close to the end. It's crazy. We're getting so close to the end of the season. I mean, we're almost to March, ends in beginning mid-May. Golly. And then the World Cup is right around the corner this year. It's going to fly by. There's so much going on.
My friend got tickets to the World Cup.
You got tickets to the World Cup?
No, my friend got tickets to the World Cup. Going to Boston.
Oh, I thought you just like randomly said like, oh yeah, I got tickets. Like what? No. What are you talking about? Okay, all right, all right. Boston. That's
cool.
Okay, all right. Well, let's move on before I get too depressed thinking about that. We are good in Germany. Let's go to Spain.
Let's do it to La Liga.
Just enjoy it. Enjoy that tune. That's homemade right there. Not really. I wish it was. We do have some news and notes for La Liga, and we'll start off with a story. Borja Iglesias and Celta stand tall. Celta hosted Rayo Vallecano on January 18th and ended up winning pretty comfortably 3-0, but it was the campaign that Celta ran prior to the match that was the big story here. Before the match, Celta supporters groups and the club itself encouraged all of their fans to go to the game with their nails painted in support of their striker, Borja Iglesias, because the week prior they played Sevilla and he was subjected to homophobic chants and signs in the crowd. Now, Borja is known for being eclectic or eccentric with his style, and he tends to come to games with his nails painted, and he's also supportive of the LGBTQ community. And these horrible humans decided that they would use that as ammunition to go at and aim at him prior to the match to get, I guess, in his head. I'm not sure. The crazy thing is, Vic, he's not even gay. He's an ally. And yet they're doing all of this just foul stuff that shouldn't be allowed in not even just football, just anywhere. I mean, crazy stuff for 2026, guys. Give it up. The result of Celta's campaign, though, was a beautiful show of solidarity between the club, the fans, and the players, of course. And after the game, Celta posted a picture of their players showing off all their nails. They all painted their nails, and they were in the locker room, and a sign that said, "Against hate, together." So well done, Celta, and well done, Borja Iglesias. Okay. With that, Vic, let's move on to the match day.
Let's do it. And of course, we'll start with your No Business Soccer podcast. Top matches and headlines for La Liga, match day 25. And your top match is a banger as it's the league leaders Barcelona welcoming number 3, Villarreal.
I'm nervous to put Villarreal in this spot, Vic, because it feels like every time I do, they slip up. Now, it's not far-fetched to think that they'd slip up here against the table toppers Barcelona, but Villarreal have slowly started to turn the ship around and have 3 wins in their last 4. They haven't played perfect, but neither have Barca with their loss to Girona still lingering in the air like one of Vic's bad farts. This should be a fairly open game with goals in it, and we'll just have to see how many of these are coming for the Yellow Submarine.
Uncalled for. And your second match is number 5, Real Betis, taking on number 12, Sevilla, but both teams only have 1 loss in the last 6 match days.
It's the Sevilla derby. In most derbies, you can throw out form and you can throw out stats, but for these two teams heading in, they're in completely different directions right now. Far are we from the days where Sevilla winning the Europa League every other year and getting into the Champions League every year after that. They were almost relegated last season, for God's sake, while Betis finished in 6th and in the Europa League. Not to mention that they got into the Conference League the year prior to that, and they played Chelsea in the final. They did lose to them, but they played in the final of the Conference League. So we've got the obvious contrast here. And then the fact that Betis have won back-to-back derbies and just beat Sevilla at the Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan back in November. You have to say it like that. You have to. While Sevilla aren't nearly as bad as they were last season, they're currently just 5 points out of the bottom 3, but sitting 12th in the table, which is insane to think about how congested that mid-table in La Liga is. There's a lot on the line here, and that makes for a great Derby Day game.
And those are your top matches and headlines for La Liga match day 25. Let's go ahead and get into the rest of the match day, and it starts on Friday with a lower table matchup as Levante look to chip away at being in the relegation zone as they take on Alaves.
Alaves have been sneaky good lately, only losing once in the last 5 games, and Levante have been just absolutely terrible with 4 straight losses and more than likely headed for their 5th.
And then we move on to Saturday as 2 teams looking to keep their unbeaten runs going face off. It's Athletic Club headed to Rayo Vallecano.
Rayo feel like a club in turmoil with their ownership being protested against and their pitch being so bad that they're having to play games in other stadiums until it's ready. But yet they beat Atleti and they drew with Betis in Sevilla in the last 2 match days. Athletic Club have been good lately with 3 straight wins, but let's not act like they don't have a shock result in them. I'm not calling this one either way, but this one should be interesting.
And next up, we have your No Business Soccer podcast top matchup. That was Barcelona and Villarreal. We talked about that. So we go to Mallorca looking to get a dub and out of the relegation zone, but they take on a Hemi-powered Real Sociedad.
It's been a little more not losing than anything else for Real Sociedad lately, but Matarazzo has gotten his team in shape, and it looks like they're destined for a top half of the table finish, while Mallorca are just trying to survive.
And Saturday ends with number 4 Atletico Madrid getting a favorable matchup as they look to cement themselves in the top 4 as they take on the bottom of the table, Real Oviedo.
Oviedo have had Athletic Club, Real Sociedad, and now Atleti all in a row, which tells me that they're bottom of the table and they played a ton of the bad teams. I don't want to say bad teams, the bottom of the table teams already. Because if they're playing all these teams right now, then they didn't do their job. I can't see Atleti dropping points here, but I mean, Oviedo, they've had some, I don't want to say they played well, but they just had some results that have shocked me recently. And Atleti, they kind of take their foot off the gas sometimes in these games. So don't be surprised if it's a draw. But yeah, the way that Atleti took on Brugge in the Champions League, and they've done a couple matches before that, they've been pretty good, Vic. I can never say with 100% that Atleti are going to win, and it's the bottom of the table team. Like I should be able to, but they always have that result in them, don't they?
They do. But then we move on to Sunday, and something has got to give as it starts with the only 2 teams that have not got a win in 2026 as of yet. It's Espanyol taking on Elche.
They both have the exact same form in the last 5 games with 4 losses and a draw each. The difference is that Elche have played well but haven't been picking up results. In Espanyol, they've just been not playing well and just had poor results. So we'll see who could get the better of who here.
And then Sunday continues with Valencia welcoming the team with the longest unbeaten streak, Osasuna.
Osasuna are the only side in La Liga that haven't lost in the last 5 match days. This is bad news for Valencia, for a Valencia side who are only 2 points clear of the drop zone and need every single point they can get at this point in the season.
And then we move on. Did we do Real Betis in Sevilla as a top matchup?
Uh-huh.
I think I have your okay. I was just making sure because sometimes the notes are confusing me. But your next matchup is the No Business Soccer Podcast. Top matchup is Real Betis and Sevilla. We already talked about that. So we go to the end of Sunday with Celta Vigo looking to go on the road and get some consistency going at Girona.
It's another solid matchup with teams that have fallen off a bit, but where they were both on a hell of a run before that slump. Girona has been a roller coaster all season, but they showed up against Barca, which is good enough for me. They could go toe-to-toe with anyone on their day, and that's what I believe after watching that game. It's a tough road match for Celta, and I think I'd probably end up being a draw, but I think that Girona have the upper hand.
And then we go to the end of match day 26 with Monday Night Football as our number 2s look to keep the pressure on the top spot as Real Madrid welcome Getafe.
It's a Madrid derby where typically Getafe is set up to be physical and give Real Madrid 90% of the ball and try to sneak in a goal. Not the most entertaining, but Getafe have been a scrappy, tough team to beat. And Real Madrid, while they keep getting results, they haven't been playing well. So let's not say it's upset alert, but in a derby, anything can happen.
And those are your matches for try that again. And those are your matches for La Liga match day 26. Gee, I don't know what's going on there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the table and get a refresher. As you can see, the top 2 are battling it out. It's Barcelona on top right now with 61 points, so just 1 point ahead of Real Madrid. Real Madrid have a more favorable matchup, so they could be taking the number 1 spot, but they're our number 2 spot right now with 60 points. And then 9 points behind them is Villarreal with 51 points in the number 3 spot. And then rounding out our top 4 is Atleti with 48 points, and tickling our top 4 is Real Betis. They have 42.6 points behind Atleti. And at the bottom of the table, you'll find Mallorca. They're in the 18th spot. They have 24 points on a 3-game losing streak, only to be outdone by Levante in the 19th spot on a 4-game losing streak with 18 points. And then Real Oviedo, a solid foundation for the bottom of the table. They have 17 points, 1 point behind Levante, holding up the rest of La Liga. And it's that last spot. We have a couple of leagues where the last 18th spot, there's a fight for it. We don't know what's going to happen. They're all 1-2 points off from the next 5 or 6. So yeah, it's pretty interesting down there.
Very close. Very close. This one's going to have a pretty, I think this one has the most interesting run in from top to bottom of any of the leagues that we cover, because it looks like Inter are going to win it. We've known Bayern going to win it since September. And the top of the league's pretty good, but it looks like the top 4, we kind of know who's going to be in there. We know Spurs aren't going to get relegated, so there's no big deal. But either way, it feels like La Liga is the most interesting one week after week because it changes so much. But I smirked there because you said losing instead of losing for a second, and it reminded me of that meme or that picture of Winter Olympics. Everything's going on. It's like, how do you find out that you're good at men's double luge or whatever? Yeah, tandem luge. Oh God, that's hilarious. Oh my goodness. It gets me every time. Like, how does that conversation start? Like, hey man, anyway, all right, let's get out of here. Let's move on to England.
Let's do it to the Prem.
Similar to the Bundesliga, no new news and notes, but I am working on a story for next time. This one will be, maybe people will be pretty interested in this one. It's a story about how the Chelsea ownership is trying to treat their structure with a team in France like they do here in America, MLB. Very interesting stuff, and I don't think anyone in Europe likes it. So, a little tease there. We'll have it more fleshed out next week.
Jesus.
Yes, a little tease. Okay, for that, Vic, let's jump in.
Let's do it. And we will go to, of course, your No Business Soccer Podcast, top matches and headlines for Premier League Match Day 28. We got one for you today. Your top match also closes out Match Day 28 as the league leaders Arsenal take on number 5, Chelsea.
It's one of the biggest tests for Liam Rosenior's career as a Chelsea manager so far, and that is a road trip to the Emirates to take on what is arguably the best team in the world, but also, almost inarguably, the best team in the Prem. They'll be flying high after that big win over Spurs last weekend, and with the gap to City just 5 points right now, they know that they have to win, or the title the title race could tilt towards City. Good Lord. This is such a big game in the Premier League season. It'll be pressure-packed and hopefully action-packed as well. Typically is. We'll be all watching, and we'll see how it plays out. God, what?
It's tighter.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh,
you got me. All right, you got me there.
That is your top match for Premier League match day 28. We'll go ahead and get into the rest of the match day.
It's your tense guy. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
you're a goofy little guy, aren't you? Oh.
We'll go ahead and go to the rest of the matches. And it starts on Friday as the league followers. I think that's the opposite of league leaders for this instance. I don't know. Wolverhampton might have another L in their future as they take on number 3, Aston Villa.
Villa have found wins a little harder to come by lately, but are still sitting pretty in third in the table. Wolves have been a good team to get 3 points from, but they still need a couple points to make sure they don't equal Derby's points as far as being the worst team to ever play in the Prem. So, will Wolves be able to get a point here? We'll find out.
We then move to early Saturday, and it's a 6:30 a.m. Central start, so put on the barbacoa tonight as Sunderland look to rebound from the 3-game losing streak as they head to Bournemouth.
The Cherries are on the rise, while Sunderland are floundering, losing 4 of their last 5 with 3 straight losses. The Black Cats they aren't worried about relegation right now, but Bournemouth are making a late push for Europe and aren't too far away.
We then move on to the relegation-threatened West Ham taking on Liverpool, and despite their placement, West Ham have more points than Liverpool in their last 6 games.
I think this one has the making to be a very good match. Liverpool are playing themselves back into form, at least as far as results go, and West Ham are in great form and really unlikely to still be sitting down there in 18th place. But both teams need a win for their own battles, and I'm very interested to see how this one plays out. The only reason that I didn't put it as a top match is because I don't know if you've seen the past couple of Liverpool matches, Vic. They haven't been fun to watch. So,
yeah, I have. Thank you. And Saturday continues. Speaking of not fun to watch, Saturday continues with Everton looking to bounce back with their 2-game losing streak as they take on a Newcastle side looking to return to form.
Burn. Everton are sitting in 9th, but have lost back-to-back games in the Prem, and Newcastle have lost 4 of their last 5 in the league, which is just crazy for a team that's, I would say in the Champions League, but there's also another one that we're going to talk about that's horrible too. Maybe it's just the norm right now. But they just tore apart Karabag in the Champions League, and they'll be hoping some of that carries over to the Prem. But either side, they have been great so far. It's probably, I don't want to say it's going to be a 0-0, but it'll be like a 1-0 late goal, something like that. For who?
And next, I don't know. I tried to do some sort of prediction on this one, but I just left it alone. But next up, we have Brentford keeping pressure on the top 5 as they take on the lowly Burnley.
Burnley getting 4 points in the last 2 match days has certainly boosted their chance of staying up, and it's still a long shot, but a win over the Bees would be massive. Brentford have been one of the surprise teams of the season, but they are by no means unstoppable at the moment.
And Saturday ends with Manchester City looking to close the gap as they take on the newcomers Leeds.
Wow, we just need to wrap it up already. I think your alcohol is rubbing off on me. Anyway, even though it felt like Newcastle would be a tougher test for City in this title fight, Leeds are in a much better form than the Toon. They're just also a much worse position in the table. There's no doubt about that. It would not be a shock if Leeds keep this one close throughout, but City absolutely cannot drop any points here. And if they did, I think that would be a shock for everyone.
We then move to everyone's favorite Sunday with the lower table clash as Brighton welcome Nottingham Forest.
Brighton themselves are not in the relegation battle, but Forest very much are, and they need to win to put themselves in a better position and put more pressure on Spurs and West Ham. I don't know why I put Spurs there. I should have just left that out. But either way, put more pressure on West Ham.
And Sunday continues with tumbling Tottenham looking to not make it 4 straight losses as they take on Fulham.
Look, I like the alliteration, but that's uncalled for. Speaking of Spurs, anything less than a win here is unacceptable at this point. Not because a trip to Craven Cottage is easy, but because their recent results, it dictates that this is a must-win game for them, and it doesn't get too much easier after this. There's no room for error anymore. Spurs could be in big trouble if they don't come out with 3 points.
And next up, we have Manchester United looking to get back on a streak, and they have a favorable matchup again to do so with the visiting Crystal Palace.
United seem to be one of the most stable clubs now, definitely one of the most consistent since Michael Carrick took over, and it's basically the complete opposite for a Palace side whose coaches, fans, and ownership are all at war with each other. We don't know what's going to happen with them, and they just won the FA Cup last season. Just sad times. Probably United gets a win. And what would that be if they won, Vic? Like 2 in a row? They're getting that streak started again?
Yeah.
2 or 3 in a row?
Again. Yeah.
Okay.
2 in a row again. We'll see. And your match day 28 ends with your No Business Soccer podcast top matchup. That was Arsenal and Chelsea. We already talked about that. So we'll go on to the table. As you can see, the number 1 team is still Arsenal. They have the number spot. They are 5 points clear. They have 61 points of Manchester City. Although Manchester City has a game in hand, so it could be 2 points. Who knows? And this weekend is going to shake it up even more. But Man City have 56 points in the number 2 spot. They are followed by very quietly Aston Villa. Nobody seems to be talking about Aston Villa in the number 3 spot with 51 points. And then behind them is Manchester United with 48 points, rounding out our top 4. And then tickling our top 4 is Chelsea with 45 points. And if we look at the bottom of the table, you'll see West Ham United. They have 25 points. They'd be the first team relegated. If the season ended today, they're in the 18th spot. They're followed by Burnley with 19 points in the 19th spot, respectively, but that's lucky. And then Wolverhampton Wanderers still on a record-setting pace for lowest points, but they probably got a couple more in them by the end of the season. They have 10 measly points, breaking double digits, but still not enough to pass, what was it, Coventry? No.
Derby.
Just Derby. Yeah. Derby and Southampton from last year on the 11 and 12 record lowest points. So we will see what happens. And doesn't look good for them though.
Okay. Well, we're almost at the hour mark, so we're going to go through this next segment pretty quick. We have a new segment like I teased at the top of the show. This one is going to be called No Business Best Bets of the Weekend. And the way we're going to do it for this first time, the inaugural route around, whatever you want to call it, the inaugural round is I'm going to choose a game from 2 of the leagues, and you're going to choose a game from 2 of the leagues, and we're going to put a parlay together and see who does it better. Okay. Not necessarily between us 2, because we're in the same parlay. We're trying to be on each other's teams. But we just need to, everything's a competition here. So I think we decided before that I was going to get the Prem. No, sorry, not the Prem. The Bundesliga and
no, that's right.
La Liga.
No,
right?
you're Bundesliga and Prem. Yeah, I was Serie A and La Liga.
Okay, fine. Then, so if you're Serie A and La Liga, then you go first and choose your 2 if you're ready. If not, I can go.
I'll go ahead and start with Serie A, and this is your hype man Vic best bet for Serie A. It's a reach, but let's start off high. I'm putting my money on Juve riding the ship against Roma. Roma have only gone more than 3 without a loss 1 time this year, and I think Juve are hungry enough to get the win, and also on the road make it harder. I think that's your wild card. I'm feeling Juve doing it this week.
Okay, yeah. Oh, hey, yeah. Tough one.
Yeah, well, that's one. And then your hype man, Vic, best bet for La Liga is a little bit easier. Is your lock of the week is Atletico Madrid beating Oviedo. I know it's easy, but this is going to be somewhat competitive, or we need something. I need some points. I need something. So I'm going with that one.
We agreed that we'll do it that way, where it's like one lock and then one that's a little bit spicier. And so I think that the way that I'll play it, I'm going to go with my spicier take is going to be from the Prem, and we're going to do, let's go. Ooh, let's see. I think I'm just going to piss everyone off, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do a Spurs win over Fulham on the road. That's my spicy one. That's my spicy one right there. All right. And then, Spurs win over Fulham because, good Lord, we have to. And my lock, I'm going to take Eintracht Frankfurt winning at home over Freiburg, the Black Forest boys. So two wins, no draws or anything. I'm going for a Spurs win and an Eintracht Frankfurt win. And so that's Eintracht and Spurs for me. And that is Atleti. And who is the other one?
Is Juve and Atleti and Juve. Yeah, you're right.
And Atleti and Juve. Atleti, Juve, Eintracht Frankfurt, and Spurs all to win this weekend. What could go wrong? Awesome. Right. Well, thanks for joining the best bets. We'll see how they do. We'll compile the stats and see how close we got to making this parlay hit. I'm feeling pretty confident for this one, Vic.
I think we got it. I think we nailed it, honestly, for our first time.
Let's go. Oh, I'm going to have to wear this.
Let's go.
It doesn't smell too bad yet, so I can wear this one this weekend too. All right, good. DJ, play our music. Vic, take us home.
Well, again, thank you, everyone, for taking some time out of your day to talk some European football with your boys at the No Business Soccer Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe on all of our social medias. Everything is at No Business Soccer Podcast, except for TikTok, except for Twitter. Those are at No Biz Soc Pod because those names were way too damn long. Everyone, enjoy the football this weekend, and we will talk to you all very soon.
Peace.